You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, a lot to get to this show. First, let's, I guess we'll talk about Arizona football. Christian Roland Wallace has entered the transfer portal. This, I think, came as a little bit of a surprise to some people, but, maybe not a total shock. He's a player that has been kind of a stalwart, for lack of a better term, on that defensive secondary. He's been a guy that I don't know that anybody looked at and said that he's an NFL player, but he certainly seemed like a guy that had some real potential to play in the league. And now, not saying that he doesn't, but he has entered the portal and he will be going elsewhere. My advice to him, not that he's really taken my advice, but my advice would be that he needs to choose well here, because again, while he's good and he's very good for Arizona, don't get me wrong, he's Arizona would love to have him back, but he's also a guy that needs to be in the right spot, because he's not a plug and play type guy in any system. At about 6'1", 190, he's got pretty good instincts. He's very physical. He makes a lot of really good plays out there. But he also, again, is he's a little bit limited as far as speed goes. He can get beat over the top, and I would imagine that he's probably going to run somewhere in that 4.8 range, something like that. Not going to run a great 40. I don't think I'm really breaking any news right there. But he's also, like I said, pretty instinctive guy. I've always felt that if he was going to play in the NFL, he's probably going to have to get at that safety position. That's where I think he's going to need to be. Because again, he can help out in the backfield. But again, if he's stuck on a wide receiver on an island in man coverage, that's going to be fairly difficult for him. I don't see that being a great spot for him. So again, we'll keep you up to date on that one. But that's that's a big loss for Arizona. There's been a couple losses this year, but people also need to remember that with the transfer portal, that's just going to be the way it is. You're going to lose some players. You're also going to get some players. I mean, look at it last year. Arizona got Jaden DeLora, Jacob Cowing, DJ Williams, all kinds of different guys in there that, made things happen. And that's just kind of where we're at. Now, when it comes to what the rest of the roster is, I would expect Arizona to really finish off pretty well on everything, because, again, Fish knows what he's doing. And I think Jason Scheer made a pretty good point the other day where he said, just because a guy gets an offer from someplace, like if Paris Shand gets a UCL or an LSU offer, that doesn't mean that he's actually going to be playing at LSU. He's probably going to be there for roster depth. Now, a guy like Dorian Singer is going to play. Wherever Dorian Singer goes, he's going to play. He's also not only is he going to play, he's also going to be an impactful player, and he's going to start. A guy that leads the conference in receiving yards isn't going anywhere not to start. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. Now, with the rest of the roster, Keon Bars, tackle, I expect him to play somewhere. I think this was kind of an odd fit for him this past year, but I expect him to be much better in in the next role. That's kind of where you're at right now when it comes to Arizona and the transfer portal. The players, obviously, the positions that you're looking to add, you're looking to add players at the linebacker spot. You need better linebackers. Jacob Manu is very, very good. But again, you need some other players next to him. I'm not saying that that Jerry Roberts can't play. Jerry Roberts is a pretty good player, but there's something certainly, with Roberts, it's, he's a little bit limited athletically. When he's in the field of play, he can be isolated. He can be put into some tough spots. And again, I'm not really breaking any news right there. But again, if he's your third linebacker in that 2 linebacker system, I think you feel more than okay with that one. Now, some of the other spots, it's kind of interesting. You're going to look to upgrade I would imagine, at the cornerback spot. But keep in mind, you've also got Ephesians Prysock. You've also got Takario Davis. You've got Traden Stukes. You've got some pretty good corners right there. And so if you're looking to add some guys, they're going to be going into a spot where they're going to be going against a pretty talented lineup right there. And, that's just kind of the way it is. When it comes to this Arizona, this team next year, my goals are pretty much unchanged. I think that this is a team that needs to win 7 or 8 games next year. I think, it was put very well that, bowl game or bust. And again, you're not saying bowl game or bust, but you're also you want these guys to be, to have higher expectations, because they're at the point now with their roster where they should be better. And I think it's more than reasonable to expect that. Now, getting to Arizona basketball, the team that would not have an issue with making a bowl game, to put it mildly. I think right now, this is one of the top 10 teams in the country. What's frustrating about this team, though, is that they definitely play down to their competition. And that's not a great look. When you watch them, it's a little frustrating, because you watch them go out against Indiana, you watch them go out against Creighton, and they play just really, really good basketball. Then you watch them struggle against a team like Texas A&M Corpus Christi for the majority of the first half. That's not something that you want to see. And that's something that I think this team needs to really figure out what they're doing there, because it's just not quite frankly, it's just not a good look. It shows that you're not taking your teams necessarily seriously, because every time this team, there's a little bit of a problem at play right there. And I think that right now, that's got to be figured out, because again, it's not like it's the biggest problem in the world. But again, that's something, you don't want to, be in the NCAA tournament and play a 16 seed that you're not taking seriously, and they end up beating you. So again, it's not a personnel problem, because they've certainly shown that they can play at a pretty high level, but you got to be able to beat these teams out there. And you got to be able to beat these teams, and you got to be able to beat them down pretty consistently. That's where you need Arizona to be able to, really, step its game up. Now, as far as this team goes, I mean, let's be honest here. This is a team that has national title aspirations, and I hear people all the time that say, is Arizona lost to Utah? Okay. Utah is undefeated. Utah is very good. And on top of that, why doesn't anybody else ever have that? Like, nobody says, well, Duke shouldn't be ranked 13th or whatever they are because they lost to North Carolina State. It generally is something where people come at you with a defeatist attitude. And it's, again, I think there's a little bit of a West Coast bias in play right there. And so that's kind of where it's at. So again, we'll find out where that one is right there. Now watching this team though, we'll find out where everything is right there. It'll be interesting to find out what's going on. But this team though, again, they're uber talented. And on top of that, you watch them and you just think to yourself that they can do pretty much everything. Now, again, they're a little bit limited athletically, and I think that's something that you need to keep. That's something that you need to keep in mind right there. But I'm kind of at the stage. I'm kind of at the stage right now where um, I'm kind of at the stage right now where Arizona against good teams, I expect to play well. And you've got a big margin for error right there. You've got it with Umar Ballo. You've got it with a bunch of different players right there. And I think that's what's exciting because every single game you're going into games thinking that Arizona's got the absolute opportunity to be able to beat teams and be able to beat teams pretty consistently out there. And so we'll find out. But now you look at the big man. We've talked about it a ton. Azuolas Tubelis right now is Azuolas Tubelis is the best running big man in all of college basketball, and there's no real close second. Then you got Umar Ballo, who fits in very, very well next to him. And I think what's also exciting about it is you basically need just Arizona to be good on the perimeter. And Arizona's shown that they can be pretty good on the perimeter, and I look for that to continue. Now, on the as far as guys like Pella Larson, we've said it from day one, and we need to continue to say it that we found this out, and we need to continue to say it that as long as Pella plays his game, Pella is going to be fine. The problem with Pella is when he gets into doing situations, playing in spots where he can't really play. When he starts to dribble a bunch, when he starts to do things that he can't really do, I think that we're kind of at the stage right now where you just kind of know what he can do. And I think that's what's kind of exciting about this. Kerr Kriisa, big tip of the cap again. We'll find out exactly what's going on with Kerr, but he's played really, really good basketball this year. And not only has he played good basketball, he's played the kind of heady basketball that Arizona has needed from him. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks is absolutely fantastic stuff right there. You think about it, you think of Omaha Steaks, and you think of really good food. Omaha Steaks has put together a delicious selection of various gift packages to make shopping for the ones you love nice and easy. Go to omahasteaks.com and take advantage of a 50% off statewide, plus use code word locked on at checkout to get an additional 40% off your order. Again, an additional 40% off your order. It's really that cool, that simple. Now again, promo code locked on, Omaha Steaks, 30% off, omahasteaks.com. I know everybody out there who has tried Omaha Steaks. Nobody dislikes it. Again, and it tastes good and it's healthy for you. So again, check it out, Omaha Steaks. We're going to take a quick little break and we will be right back with you. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, as far as where this team looks going forward, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. I love that Tommy Lloyd is starting to play the bench more. Now, again, granted, it was Azuolas Tubelis, it was you got guys like Henry Vasar, you've got Abdominal Ball, and you've got Kylan Boswell playing. But again, I love playing the bench. The bench is absolutely, I think, is imperative for what they need to do out there. Because I think these guys can play. It's not like they have anything out there where it's not like you have anything out there where like they can't play. There's guys that are just, there are some guys that are just a little bit limited. But they need more playing time. They need just a little bit more to be able to make it happen. And I think Abdominal Ball is the perfect example. You watch Abdominal Ball, he's long, he's pretty athletic, he's got good scoring instincts. He's a really, really good. He's good. He just needs more run. I think you're going to see that his hands are better or his dribble is a little bit better. He's got some potential there. Like when you watched Hassan Adams back in the day, you could just tell that Hassan was just not going to ever be able to dribble. You watch Adama, and his ball handling is loose, but he can also get places naturally that a guy like Hassan couldn't. I think there's some potential there, but again, it's really got to be tightened. I love his shooting, though, and I love what he can bring. Big fan of his. I think you just got to keep working with him. Then Kylan Boswell, again, Kylan Boswell is an interesting guy because he's built like a football player. He's built like a football player. He's built like a guy who just should be, playing football, but he's got pretty good instincts. You watch him out there. He's definitely a guy that players relate to. It's just going to take a little bit of time for him, but I think he'll get there. Again, you just got to take a little bit of time, kind of like with all these guys. Henry Vasar, same exact situation right there. And that big Henry is about 6'11", 7 foot, kind of a stork out there. Takes a little bit of time, but he's also got a lot going for him in that he can block shots. He's long, and he can do a lot of different things out there. Very impressed by Big Henry. Again, taking a little bit of time, but just imagine where he's going to be next year at this point. And then, obviously, I don't even really consider him that guy, but Cedric Henderson, to me, he's a de facto starter. Averages about 8 points per game, couple of 2-3 rebounds, an assist or two. He has been exactly what Tommy Lloyd wanted. When Tommy Lloyd came in here, he talked about how fit was going to be imperative for what he wants to do, and that is certainly turned out to be true. There are great fits on this team all the way around. Now, I think that but again, some of these guys are just going to take a little bit of time. Kylan Boswell's 17. Abdominal Ball should be 18. Just remember that. Now, let's talk a little bit of betting here. BetOnline, the BetOnline Sportsbook. All right, BetOnline, first of all, it works. It's been around forever. I can't tell you how many times I've talked with people who have said that, with BetOnline that they just like it because they can see their in games, they can see their out of games. Everything that they want is pretty much there. And again, you've got all the up to date, current bets, all of that there, and it's useful. Check it out, BetOnline Sportsbook. It's absolutely fantastic. You can find all the latest odds, news, and scores, information, you name it. It's basically your one-stop shop. So check it out, BetOnline Sportsbook. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll be back with you, and we'll wrap everything up and get you ready for tomorrow. Thank you for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right. I think we know by this time with Arizona that they are going to play close to some teams they shouldn't play close to, but I think we're also at the stage where we do know that I think we do know that this team is good. This team's going to be a problem come March. You just worry about their toughness, and that's where I think you want, if you're Arizona, you want to continue to work on this. You want to continue to show that, we've got some we'll figure this out, but it's going to take a little bit of time though. But so far so good. The things that you needed, Azuolas Tubelis is back. Now again, it won't be able to fully exercise all those demons until the postseason, but you love what you've seen. You love the interior, or you love the improvement from all the players out there. Just overall been very, very impressive by Arizona. And again, big kudos to the Tommy gun, Tommy Lloyd, because again, I thought going into this year, this team was more like a top 20-ish team. Right now, they're in the top 10, and it doesn't look like they're going to be leaving the top 10. And that is a big reason why is Tommy Lloyd and what he is employing out there. And he gets it. So again, people that are concerned, don't be concerned. Tommy Lloyd gets it. All right. You all have a great, great rest of your Wednesday. I'm Mike Luke. We'll be back with you tomorrow. As always, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. And